Okay, hello everyone. Excuse me. I am just finalizing a few things here and we will get the recording going. So please be patient with me. If anyone is there, feel free to jump in the group chat. Okay guys, I guess we're gonna go ahead and get started here. I was trying to find a space to start recording this and I don't see where it is, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So I will take us on through to the recording here.
expert in many areas, and Randy is no exception. Today, we're going to be challenging our attendees to create a viral duplication system and grow their organizations and basically create a tribe. There's no one on earth better qualified to teach this. His Duplication Nation is the top selling training about MLM. And that's something that everyone needs to take a look at. And the new book that he just put out has actually been published in over 25 languages. In 2014, he was introduced into the Network Marketing Hall of Fame. Now, this man has real world experience. He's just not out there pumping up crowds and getting them excited and rah, rah, hoorah stuff. He's in the trenches. He's actually doing it, and he's doing it today. So what I want to do right now is go ahead and welcome Randy Gage to our summit. Randy, are you with us?
Hey, great to be on with you, George.
Awesome. I want to jump right into this because this is a big subject, and actually a good friend of mine, JB Glossinger, the morning coach, introduced me to what you do, and he really he slapped me in the face and he said, "You're not creating duplication. You got to check out Randy's stuff." And I was just completely blown away when we started talking about this. So what is true duplication? Could you explain this?
Yeah, and let's say, what is true duplication and why is it important? Why is it critical to everybody who's listening to this webinar? Because what duplication is the ability to do the job once, do it right, and have it continue, and create a residual income stream for yourself. Because if you don't create a true duplicable system, then you don't have that. So you just have to go and rebuild, and you have to do all the rah-rah and the hype, and you're always trying to hype people up, and you're always trying to keep them motivated, because you just have a huge churn, a huge turnover in your organization. So why it's important is you want to get people in, do it in a way that they can replicate your results, and then have that system that everybody follows, so that everyone, whether they've got 20 years experience or no experience, can get the same results you get, because then you create true residual income and security for you and your organization.
So you use the term residual income, and I know a lot of people might not really understand what that means as opposed to passive income. Can you talk a little bit about how multi-level structures create, like, why is residual income better than just passive income?
Well, I love that you asked that question, because so many people don't understand the distinction. Because what we can really do in network marketing is create passive residual income, right? So what's residual income? Just means recurring, right? So if you have a paper route, you could have residual income. You got 200 customers, you deliver their newspaper every morning at 6 a.m. They're going to pay you a certain amount of money. So you got residual income. But if you don't deliver those newspapers, they ain't going to pay you. So you haven't created passive residual income. In network marketing, we create this huge network of people who use the products or services every month, and then we get an override commission on the volume produced. So it really, a good percentage of that turns into passive residual income. Obviously, if you have a new team member and they just started, they're not, and if you quit tomorrow, they drop out tomorrow because they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't have any training. But if you really bring someone in, train them right, have systems in place, then you could stop doing the business at some point and you'd still get passive residual income on those lines because those people have duplicated you. You've accomplished your goal, which is, we always say your job is to work yourself out of a job.
We're going to talk more about systems and exactly what tools people need to put in place to have true duplication in just a moment. But first I want to ask you, what is the key contributor to non-duplicating teams? Like, what causes these teams to fail, or what causes the mechanism to break?
Two big things. One is structural, one is personality. The structural is there's not a system in place, meaning it's not mapped out. When you really get this right, people know, okay, here's the first action I take with a prospect, and whatever it is, it might be a one-on-one or two-on-one, it might be inviting them to a home meeting, it might be having them watch a web presentation, whatever it is. There's step one, and then there's the materials or the marketing materials that you give them afterward. Then you have step two, corresponding marketing materials. Step three, corresponding marketing materials. Somebody joins the business. There's an initiation training or a new member orientation. Everything's spelled out, everything's delineated, so that doesn't matter, again, whether you have experience, you don't have experience, you're young, you're old, you've had big success, you've had no success, you've got education, you don't have education, doesn't matter. You follow the same system. So structurally, you have to have that set up. So if you don't have that, that's the thing that prevents duplication from happening. And then I said the other one was personality based. That's where you get the superhero leader who thinks everything's about them. And you just bring them to me and I'll close them for you. And I'll do all the presentations. I'll do all the training. And of course they become a superhero and maybe they look great in cape and tights, but nobody in their team can get the results they do. So they don't really have duplication. They become a grinder where they just have to keep grinding, because the day they stop grinding is the day the volume stops producing.
Something that JB told me, which I thought was just so smart. I mean, for me, I've tried these types of things in the past, and most of us have done that, one or two things, and nothing really worked. Maybe we just didn't commit ourselves. There was always, for some lack of a better term, some reason why we didn't succeed, or I didn't succeed. This new time that I tried this with doTERRA, things were completely different. And I noticed that the difference for me wasn't, I mean, there was definitely differences in the product and the compensation plan, but it was myself. And I was going to ask you, like, when JB said, you're going to sponsor other people how you were sponsored, and they're going to do the same thing, how that trickles down and duplicates itself automatically. Mm-hmm. Can you give some tips on how to start with the right foot when you're dealing with coming on board with like specifically with doTERRA, for example, when you come on board, when you buy a kit or when you get into the compensation plan, how should you look at a new network marketing business so that the people that follow you can duplicate the same way you did and sponsor and also enroll the same way?
I think you need to have a standardized presentation. I like to see plug and play ones, ideally a DVD or an online presentation, so everybody's going to use the same presentation. And then I want you to start with people that you know. I want people need to do a candidate list, and they need to do a list of the most busy, most successful, most ambitious people they know. Don't prejudge for them, and just invite them to look at the presentation. It's not their responsibility to sponsor them. It's simply their responsibility to get them in front of a presentation. And the thing people, where they fall apart is they think, well, how can I shortcut that? How can I, like if I sponsored Bill Gates could say to me, hey, I'm just gonna put a thing in the Windows program so that everybody who joins Windows, there's a pop-up box that says, hey, would you like to join my program? I would say, no, Bill, here's what we need to do. We need to get some people over to your house. I need you to do a candidate list, most busy, most successful, most ambitious people, invite them over. We're going to have I want you to play a DVD. I'll be there to answer questions. And you say, well, come on, I got 20 billion people in my database. I say, great, Bill. See, that works, but it doesn't duplicate. Same thing if I sponsored Ryan Seacrest, he'd say, well, can't I just do a pitch at the end of American Idol next week and give out my website? I'd say, well, no, here's the problem with that, Ryan. It works, but it doesn't duplicate. And if we want to create real residual, we've got to do things that duplicate.
So what would you say are the fundamental structures of that duplication system? Like if someone wants to stand out and try to do things, push the envelope a little bit and be an innovator, in multi-level marketing, then how do you do that without getting away from the standard duplication that's been tried and true and tested? Like how far do you push, or what are some key indicators to say this new thing I'm trying is duplicatable?
Okay, if you ask the wrong question, the answer is always irrelevant. That's my philosophy in life, right? So if we just ask the question, well, how do we be innovative in network marketing? That's the wrong question, because people who are innovative in network marketing are grinders. They don't have duplication because they're doing cutting edge, bleeding edge, leading edge, whatever new stuff that doesn't create duplication. The formula for duplication is we've got to get a large group of people to do some simple actions over a sustained period of time. If we do that, we're going to create a team that has hundreds of people, and then thousands of people, and then even tens of thousands of people. But we got to follow the formula. Large group of people, simple actions over a sustained period of time. So if we get too innovative, we have this great new lead generation program, we're not going to have duplication. We have this great, so what we want to do, and going back to your original question, is we'd say, well, okay, how can we use technology in a way that still stays with this formula of get a large group of people to do a few simple things over a sustained period of time? So now maybe we do webinars, maybe we do webcasts, maybe we do call in, in other words, we can take home meetings and we can use innovation to make them a lot bigger. We could do online meetings. We can standardize the new member orientation. We can create a video of that, put it up on a site. We can create a team website which has the system mapped out on it. We can create a replicated website which has the standardized presentation on it and the follow-up marketing material. So we use technology, but we need to do it in a way that doesn't take us away from the core formula of how duplication works.
Now, are there any technologies or any systems, processes in place specifically for the online or technology-based lead generation side of things that you found or have heard of that are easy to bring people into an offline world or be able to start them duplicating in an offline environment? Because not everyone, obviously, is going to be computer savvy, and they're not necessarily going to want to do this business like that, but some people will.
Yeah, and the people who will, I say, forget it. It doesn't work. Doesn't duplicate. So which nobody wants to hear, and they're all, well, you're so old-fashioned. I'm going to find a shortcut. I go through this. I've been fighting this for 10 years. You just can't deviate from the system if you want to create true passive residual income, and that's always my thing. I filter everything through lifestyle. I just had a birthday. I'm 56 years old. I don't want to work that hard anymore. I don't want my people to work that hard. When I bring someone in, I want them to have a chance for success. So lead generation programs, I don't do any of them. I don't have anyone doing that with success. So I don't recommend it. Social media would be where the next place your question would take us. Hey, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all this stuff. Isn't there a way to use that to grow my business faster? And I think the answer is yes. I have sponsored a number of people that I've met on social media. But yet you could follow my Twitter feed. You can see my Facebook fan page. You can see my YouTube channel. You will never see a pitch from me about my network marketing business. I never send them out. I just don't. Because it's not, first of all, it's just really irritating. It's like you join LinkedIn and somebody puts you in a group and then they're sending you a pitch every 7 days. Who wants that? You Facebook, somebody puts you in a group so that they can send you pitches. Use the social media site as just another medium to develop relationships. And just like we do offline, do the same thing online. You meet people, you get to know them, you develop the relationship. Now you come to the belief that your business opportunity can help them. Take it offline. Just tell them, hey, can I get an email or phone number? I got something I want to share with you that I want to run by you. And take it offline and then go into your regular duplicable system. And that's where you're going to get the best long-term results.
So what would you say are the steps to create teachable duplication in your organization?
You want to have a standardized presentation. So I wouldn't call these steps, by the way. I'd say what are the factors that have to be in place in your system to create that. You need a standardized presentation. You need a standardized follow-up process, which means, okay, here's step 1, here's the tools, here's step 2, here's the tools, here's step 3, here's the tools, and so on. You need a standardized new member orientation or fast start training or get started training or whatever you want to call it, that it kind of orientates people to the business when they first start, takes them through doing their candidate list, setting up their first presentations, how they get in their back office, how they sign up new customers, how they sign up new team members, and do the mechanics of the business. So those things, you need to have those standardized. And if you do that, then you got the structure is in place that can create real duplication.
Is there a way of motivating that you know of new recruits that have just come on board to really step out of their comfort zone that's effective and start that duplication process immediately. Like within doTERRA, we have a 14-day window to move people from one position, which could be our front line, to anywhere in our organization that we want to. But we only have that 14 days to move them. So it's important for us to start seeing some signs or some aspects of leadership or duplication so we know kind of where to place them to build a strong structural team. So are there any tells or any ways that you can not just identify leaders, but also be able to motivate people to go down that path quickly?
Well, I love your 14-day window, because my experience is you make or break your people in the first 2 weeks. They'll go about it or they won't. But you'll know in the first 2 weeks. And the first 48 hours is critical. So to me, what you've got to do is you've got to get them set up. They got to be trained right away through whatever that new member orientation is. And they need to have a presentation scheduled within 24 to 48 hours. And so where they're inviting people to, whether it's in their home or it's a webcast or whatever it is, but they've got to get their prospects in front of a presentation. And you want to get them some people enrolled within 48 hours. Because once people have enrolled someone, they don't ever want to quit, because it's like the fear of loss mentality kicks in. What if this guy really does it like I thought he could really do it? What if she takes off and really becomes a Starfleet commander, Blue Diamond Hawaiian, NATO commander? They don't want to leave once they've got some people in. So you've got to get them into action. Because right away, because if they don't, if you allow them to do the analysis and the procrastination, that's just building up their fears. Oh, what if they say no? What if people don't show up? What if this thing doesn't work? And they just imagine all these things that would never happen anyway, because that's the nature of human nature today. So the key is getting them active. And a new thing that I've done recently that really has got some amazing results from people is what I call the triple play, where they're joining the business and then they're setting up 3 presentations right in a row. And usually, sometimes like Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. So it's literally 3 days in a row. So they're inviting everybody to their first get together, whether it's a home meeting, whatever it is, on Tuesday night. And then anyone who can't make Tuesday, they use Wednesday as the fallback. So they're doing one Tuesday, then they're inviting fallback people to Wednesday. And then on Thursday, they're doing it at whatever the home is of the first person who really gets it on Tuesday night. So let's say they've invited 12 people over on Tuesday night, and 8 of them actually show up, and they see whatever the presentation is, and 4 or 5 of them decide to do it, or ready to do it, or ready to sign up. You look for that one who's just got the fire in their eyes, and you say, listen, I can tell you really get this. I've already blocked off Thursday night, and I'm doing this major blast to launch my business. I'd like to, if you really get this and you want to lock in your spot right now, I'll do the presentation on Thursday night at your house, and you can be inviting your people to that. And then you do three presentations in a row, 3 launches in a row, and you're driving depth at the same time. And anybody who can't come Tuesday or Wednesday, you could invite them on Thursday to where, whoever home is going to be in, you're still going to be there, right? And when you do that, the idea is I want to get someone to get in 10, 12, 14 people as quickly as possible. Now, if you do that, you have extraordinary results. Because what will happen is, let's say you get in 12 people. What's the reality? Some are going to do it now. Some are going to do it later. Some are going to do it never. That's just the reality, the nature of human nature. Everybody says they're going to do it, but some are going to do it now, some are going to do it later, some are going to do it never. But you get in at least 12, 10, 12, 13, 14, you're going to have 3, 4, 5 serious players who are actually doing it. And if you do that, you'll have somebody, then you've got some runners, and you can start driving depth and create some initial momentum that just feeds on itself and explode their business right out of the gate. So it gets them totally locked in, dialed in, and in action.
So outside of actually seeing someone do what you're suggesting, which I think is brilliant, triple play. That just makes total sense. Outside of that, and seeing action being taken immediately, what are some tells that you might have picked up in the past from people that you might not have thought of to be leaders, but turn out to be some of your biggest players?
I'm looking for ambition. They don't have to be leaders. They can be a follower. The truth is, many of the people who join our teams are not leaders, and they don't want to be leaders. They join because they're followers, and they want to be followers. And they want to follow us to creating financial independence, freedom, security, living their dreams. We'll have the mechanism in place to help, and I have a leadership academy, which I know we'll talk about later. So there's stuff we can do down the road to help people who are aspiring leaders turn into real leaders. But I'm not worried about that at this time. I'm just looking for people with ambition. I'm looking for people who want to get after it, right? And just focus on that. Don't worry about the leadership thing. They can be a followership thing. Just look for people. I'm looking for the guy who has 2 jobs. He's a coach in Little League. He's a deacon in his church. I'm looking for the lady who has 2 different jobs. She's selling stuff on the flea market on the weekend, or you know what I mean? And she's volunteering with this. The busiest people you know are the ones who get this done. And you find someone who's unemployed and they have 14 hours a day and they're too busy to do it because they're watching Judge Judy all day, right? You got to get people with ambition. You got to get people who want to get after it. And because the truth is, I mean, I was talking to one at the ball game the other day, talking to a friend of mine about it. And we said, you could make 6 figures a year in anything today. If you're a dog walker, you could make 6 figures a year. If you detail cars, that's what he runs a business. He details my cars. He says, I know guys who just follow hailstorms around the country, and they're making $400,000 a year because there'll be some big hailstorm in St. Louis, and there'll be 100,000 cars that have hail damage that get from $2,000 to $10,000 checks from their insurance company to fix the hail damage, right? I mean, if you're creative, if you're entrepreneurial, you'll find a way to make money, right? We're looking for those people in network marketing. I'm looking for Uber drivers because they show me they've already got initiative. They've already got ambition. You got to, I was in an Uber car the other day, and he had 6 different telephone jack, telephone chargers for every kind of phone in the world, 6 of them in the back of his Suburban. And I'm like, this guy is an entrepreneur. He would be amazing in our business. I mean, those are the kind of people you look at. So they may not be a leader yet, but they're hungry. They're ambitious. That's what you're really looking for.
Why do you think it is that everyone seems to mess this simple system up? I mean, it sounds so easy, so common sense, but why do you think people make so many mistakes when trying to build this duplicatable business?
Well, a lot of people don't know. They just don't understand duplication. I mean, I had a sponsor who literally just didn't believe in duplication because he'd never seen it, right? He just knew the smoke and mirrors and the rah-rah hype and you front load people. He had joined a business back in the 80s in one of those water filter deals where you'd sell somebody $40,000 worth of water filters and fill up their garage. And that's all he knew. There's ignorance out there. There's people who really don't understand that duplication, how it works. And then, so that's part of the problem. And the other part of the problem is there's some people who do get it, but then they're always looking for the shortcut. So, well, I'm just going to set up a Facebook page and a Twitter account, and I'm going to send out a pitch every 3 hours, and I'll sign up thousands of people. And of course, they just make themselves pariahs because who wants to be pitched every 3 hours? So they look for a shortcut. The business is simple. It's not easy, but it is fairly simple, right? We got the formula for duplication. Get a large group of people to do some simple actions over a sustained period of time. You're going to build a huge network. You have a huge network, you're going to have huge volume. And we get paid on volume. The difference between a legitimate network marketing organization and a pyramid scheme is we don't get paid for training people. We don't get paid headhunter fees. We just get a percentage of the volume produced by our organization. So if we follow the principles of duplication, we're going to have an amazing income.
So for those that start out in this business with little or no support from their sponsor, maybe someone got them in and they end up quitting actually within a couple of weeks, and that happens on a regular basis, or maybe they just have an upline that doesn't really communicate the way that they probably could and teach this duplication. How would you go about repairing a broken system or a system that doesn't exist at this point in time of an organization that's already been maybe building for a year and a half, maybe 6 months even, and they might have, say, 20 to a couple hundred people on their team? How would you go about initiating that and starting that duplication process?
I would get them on my generic stuff. I have a book, How to Build a Multi-Level Money Machine, which you mentioned at the start, which is translated to about 25 different languages, is considered the textbook of the business. That is how to build a duplicable system. On a generic, it's totally generic. It just shows you how you can do it with your business, right? I would have everyone in the team. That would be part of the Get Started training, is I'd have some people read that book. I have another book called Making the First Circle Work. And that's for the people who want to be leaders. And it shows you how to turn hope into belief. Because what I've seen after 25 years of this is hope is what gets people into the business. They hope it works. They hope they can make money. They hope they can win a bonus car or win that free cruise or that trip to Hawaii. And they're excited about it, so they join. Hope gets them in. But belief is what keeps people in the business. So to keep them in the business, we've got to build their belief. So how do we build their belief? Is we teach them skills. We teach them, how do you meet people? How do you work a candidate list? How do you make a compelling invitation? How do you follow up after people have been to a presentation? Then later down the road, we'll teach the leadership stuff. But for now, it's those basic skill sets. As soon as you get somebody competent in those, where they're proficient in those, now they have belief, where they say, oh, I'm not going to try this doTERRA thing. I know I can do this doTERRA thing. I know what it is. I know what the comp plan is. I know what the product line is. I believe in it. I just needed to know what to do. And now I know what to do. So if you give them that confidence with the skills, and that's where the third thing would be my Leadership Academy, which is an online learning platform where they can learn those skills, right? Is if you, because here's my whole, just my fundamental philosophy that separates me, I think, from so many other people in the business and so many of these trainers who just make their living training people or doing seminars or something. I'm actually in the field. I've been in the field for 25 years. I honestly believe people are willing to work. I honestly believe that if you show them what to do, most of them will do it. Now, like I say, we're dealing with the realities of human nature. Some are going to do it now. Some are going to do it later. They're going to join, but it's just they're getting pressure from their spouse, or they're getting pressure from their job, or they've got to work overtime, and life gets in the way. So you're going to have people that join the business today, and they're going to do nothing for 3 years. And then one day, boom, 3 years from now, something's going to click, and they're going to go after it. And then there's some other people that just aren't going to do it. And that's the reality. We're just going to love them all and let them grow. But I honestly believe that if you give people the skill sets so they really know how to do it, and then you give them the system to follow, they really will do it, most of them. They don't, there's a lot of talk about people are lazy and people are stupid and people, I don't buy into that, because that's not my experience. My experience is when you really give people the tools and you show them what to do, they'll do it, because they really do want to live their dreams. They really do. When, different people gravitate to different things, right? Women from Mars, men are from Venus, or whatever that book is, right? So what you're going to see is a lot of times men are more excited by the freedom. They want to fire their boss. They want to get the new Ferrari. They want to go on the cruises. They want the Lamborghini, whatever. Women, and of course I'm generalizing here, because you'll see examples both ways. But as a rule, you see women are a little more mature than men in many ways. And I think they're more excited about the security thing. Saying, yeah, I'd love to pay off the whole mortgage. I want to have no car payment, no credit card bills. No, I want us to be completely debt free. No, the kids' college funds are paid for and we have the retirement taken care of. So more women seem to gravitate more toward the security stuff. Men seem to gravitate more toward the independence or freedom stuff. But of course, there's exceptions on both sides and people who are more balanced of that. But they want that. That's what virtually every prospect you're going to talk to is excited by, the freedom or the security. And they want to do it. And if you will show them a system and give them the training and really work with them, they'll do it. They'll find the time to do the business. But if you just do the rah-rah hype, you're going to have a lot of churn and a lot of people fall by the wayside.
So how do you feel about incentives or contests or leaderboards when it comes to getting people to engage in the duplication?
Well, the most important thing we do in this business is recognition. We just can't do enough recognition. The pins are a big deal. The ranks are a big deal. The bringing people on a stage is a big deal. A.L. Williams, who started Prime America, he wrote a book. You have to search it online. It's out of print for years, but if you look on Amazon, I think I paid like $80 for this tore up, chewed up paperback copy of his book from 30 years ago. But he's in there in that book. He's talking about we're going to give trophies the size of men and plaques the size of doors. And he did that. I mean, if you ever, and you could YouTube him, Google him, search him on YouTube and catch him one of his, seminar presentations or something. I mean, he's an amazing guy. But he got recognition. Mary Kay, she got recognition. Amway, they understood recognition. And I don't think any of us do it enough. That stuff really does matter to people. And different cultures matters even more. I mean, what I know is if there's a contest, my team in Russia will crawl naked over broken glass to win that contest. My team in Asia, they go berserk when there's promotions and contests, things like that. Some cultures really go crazy about that stuff. It works. Recognition works. So you want to use, as a leader, once you have a big team, you use the tools of inclusion and exclusion to motivate people to do more, and promotion and incentives and trips and contests. Those are all a big part of that dynamic.
Do you know of any, or can you think of any right now that you found that work better than others as far as inspiring that duplication, certain incentives, certain recognition points?
Yeah. What I would say is you have to be mindful of what is the behavior that you want to reward. And a lot of times companies don't get this. And I'm putting all companies in this category because there are people who know how to build in the field, right? And there's people who are really good at building companies. It's two different skill sets. So companies come up with lots of promotions and lots of contests, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're really bad, right? So, because the company said, well, we need people to sponsor more, so we're going to do a contest, and everybody who sponsors, 30 people in a week is going to win this grand prize. Okay, well, what's the problem with that? If somebody is a big leader with a team and they've got an organization of 50,000 people, they don't have time to go out and sponsor 30 people. And they shouldn't be out there sponsoring 30 people in a week because they've got a team of 50,000 people that they need to be leading that organization. So their highest good is going to be speaking at large events, doing the team structure stuff to support the people, right? Not personally enrolling 30 more people. But sometimes the companies don't understand that. Or hey, we've got this great contest and you're going to win a cruise. Well, great. So now they've created a cruise, which happens to fall on the 28th of a month and goes until the 3rd of the next month. So we're going to take all of our top leaders out of the field and have them on a cruise ship with no phone and no Wi-Fi and no meetings when they're supposed to be closing out the month, right? So maybe the company didn't think about that. Whereas a field leader, I'm never going to have an event without an outcome, without an objective. And I've got to know that that objective is worth it for that, the ROI is there, that I'm going to take my people out of the field and put them in a convention hall or put them in a regional training or put them on a cruise ship for 7 days, right? So I want to know, is the return there? What's my objective of that? So, and we want to do the reward stuff. We want to take people and give them a week in Hawaii or 2 weeks in Fiji or Tahiti or whatever. But we got to be mindful of who we're bringing there, why we're bringing them for, what's the outcome, and have we been mindful of how it's going to affect the rest of the team? Like I say, so if you create contests, then you want to think, okay, so how can I have a contest that rewards the behavior I want? Because I don't want my guy who has 50,000 people in his team to try and sponsor 30 new people in a week. Because then he's not going to do that, because that's not his highest good. So then it sends the wrong message, because the top leaders in the company didn't qualify for the prize or the contest. So the people at the rest of the group say, well, I don't understand. If none of the top leaders of are doing this contest, why should I be doing it? So you try to do promotions that reward people for growing a percentage of the volume, things like that, that anyone, whether they had 50,000 team members or 5 team members, they both could participate in the same kind of promotion. And you want the promotion to be on, ideally, do stuff that rewards people to go down in depth, to drive depth in the organization, because that's going to create the best long-term results.
You said something I thought was just spot on, too, which was about the enrollment volume, meaning that some people go out there and they sponsor contests where it's just like, how many people can you possibly enroll? And I think that's so important to really touch on, like what you said, what's the end result? What kind of community and culture you're trying to build, because people are going to follow that, especially with the team leaders. So at what point, or do you have any thoughts on how many people you can comfortably enroll and how much time you need to dedicate to those people that you do enroll? There are some folks that I know of, including myself sometimes, when I could do an online class and literally enroll 100 people. But I've already, from personal experience, know that I can't give them support the way that I need to. So do you have any thoughts on that when people are using, whether it's online systems or they use class type of systems? When you enroll a massive amount of people, how do you continue to build that duplication and support that team when you have enrollments coming in constantly?
Yeah, there's 2 lists with every company. First, you have the list of the top enrollers. Then you have a list of the top income earners. And one of the things you're going to notice is people are never on both lists, okay? Which seems kind of weird, because you say, well, whoever enrolls the most people should make the most money. No, for exactly the reasons that you just described. You can't sponsor 100 people and support them. Forget it. It just ain't going to happen. So you want to start on the first list. So when you just join your business, somebody's on this call, they just joined doTERRA yesterday. Their job is to go out and enroll a bunch of people as quickly as they can. Get 10, 12, 14 people registered as quickly as possible. Then they got to find who are the serious ones and start driving depth. And then, so you want to start on the top recruiter list, but if you want to get to the top income earner list, and this is true for any company, whether it's doTERRA or anyone else, then you've got to have the duplication. So I always look at things of, how do I automate this? How do I systematize this? And how do I make it scalable? And that's where the tools and the system stuff really comes into play, because you got to know that if you got to be able to sponsor 10 people in a week and get them going. Now, if you have to go to their house, each one of the 10, and spend 2 hours with them, say, come on, we need to do your list together. Who do you know named Joe? Who do you know named Mo? Who do you know named Curly? Who sold you your carpet? Who sold you your car? Who lived next door? Who lives on the left? Who lives on the right? Who do you go to school with? And you spend 2.5 hours doing that, and then an hour and a half doing. Well, all of a sudden now it took you 5 hours to get that one distributor orientated. let's say you sponsored 10 times 5 hours, that'd be 50 hours. That doesn't duplicate. We have to do the business in 10 or 12 hours a week, because that's what we're going to sell to anybody that we prospect. That, hey, this is a part-time business. I want you to keep your regular job, keep your regular business, and do this part-time on top of whatever it is you're doing. So to do that, we got to be able to do it in 10 or 12 hours a week. And that's why I say you have to have a standardized new member orientation, training video on a website or a DVD or a booklet or something, so that you can scale the results.
So now I'm going to backstep just a moment, and I want to talk about tools and systems moving forward in just a moment. But stepping back, what happens when you have massive duplication? Things start happening. You got your team leaders. They start enrolling people, and then a couple of them start to stall out, and they start to give you excuses like, well, everyone's heard of doTERRA. Everyone I talked to has already heard of it or has been to a presentation. What happens when that happens? How do you get a stalled leader to re-engage and to really get that fire again?
Well, sometimes you don't, right? Because some people, they have beliefs that don't serve them. You know, the belief everybody's heard of doTERRA, right? That's so funny. I mean, I don't care what city you're in, just go out on the street and grab the next 100 people at a bus stop and ask them, you know, write it the way they do, with like a little D and a little O and then TERRA and bigger letters, whatever. If you asked 100 people on the bus stop of any city in America, any city in Canada, any city in South America, there isn't 3 out of 100 that would have ever heard of it. I mean, let's just be real, right? They just have it. The market is, you know, there are 6 billion human beings on Earth. How many of them are in doTERRA and how many are not in doTERRA, right? So, but there's people have that belief, right? Oh, everybody I know, you know, I've talked to everybody I know. I've got no friends left. It's just, you know, that's a belief that doesn't serve them. And I wrote a blog about this recently, that, you know, just how foolish these beliefs are. But if people have those beliefs, you can't convince them otherwise, right? If they have that belief, they have to have a belief that serves them, which is, hey, there's 6 billion people on this planet, and as far as I know, 5,875,321 of them are not in my company. And most of them have never heard of it. And that's more a belief that serves someone, right? But what we do, again, is we've got to take the fear away. So you've got to show people, okay, first of all, so if somebody makes a statement, well, I don't know that many people. Well, I could prove that everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice right now knows between 800 to 3,000 people. And they do. Even the people say, no, I don't know that many people. I'm a lonely person. They know a minimum of 800 people. Most people know somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 people that they could put on a candidate list. And if we had the 12 hours to do it, where we did the stuff I was talking about, where you say, okay, where do you live? Who lives on the left? Who lives on the right? Who lives upstairs? Who lives downstairs? Where did you used to live? Who lived on the left? Who lived on the right? Who lived up? Who did? You know, where did you go to college? Where did you go to high school? Where did you serve in the military? Where did you? We could come up with 800 to 3,000. Some people on this call would get 5,000 names, right? Because they have that influence. But anyone who says I don't know that many people, first of all, that's not true, and second of all, that's the sign of an amateur, because a professional wouldn't even be concerned with that, because they'd know one of the skill sets to be a professional in our space is the ability to meet people. And that's a skill that anyone can learn. So the average person meets 8 to 15 people every week, but they're not trained on how to get those people on a contact list. Contactable names. What you need to do when you join a business like doTERRA or any network marketing company is you've got to get people on your list as quick as possible and get them off the list as quick as possible, right? Because we just need a yes or a no. The only thing that we can't deal with is I'm thinking about it, or let's see, or maybe. We need to know, hey, is this right for you? And whatever they say, if they say it's right, great. We're going to lock them in, get them started. If they say it's not right, then you're going to move on to the next candidate on your list. So the ability is get them on the list as quickly as possible, get them off the list as quickly as possible. And to really facilitate that process, develop your skill set to meet people. So the average person meets 8 to 15 people a week. If you really develop that skill, you could meet 30 to 50 people every week if you wanted to, new people. And a lot of them would be contactable names. But again, that's a skill set. That'd be what a professional would say, hey, I'm going to develop that skill set. And then once they have the skill set, then they don't have the fear. I'm like, I don't know people, or I don't know what to say to people, or I don't know how to meet people. Once they have that skill, then the fear goes away. And if we get the fear to go away, again, people get into action.
And there are people right now that are listening to this call that probably have zero upline support. And I can tell you that there's a lot of resources out there that when I first got involved, I had someone send me an email and it was literally loaded, I think 50 or 60 different links. Go watch these videos. There was not really a step-by-step process. Speaking to those people, either they're communicating with us right now, they're connecting with what you're saying, they're really kind of getting this, or maybe they're discovering this presentation, a month, 6 months, 2 years down the road from now. What tools can someone that has no support start learning how to run a successful network marketing company? And I know that you've got so many tools out there. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So how do people plug into the tools that you recommend, and maybe even take it further with you, with your academy?
Okay. First place, networkmarketingtimes.com. That's my totally generic training site, just packed with literally hundreds of training articles on how to meet people, how to invite people, how to follow up after presentation. And there's a store there which has my books that I mentioned, How to Build a Multi-Level Money Machine, Making the First Circle Work, the Duplication Nation audio or video training album. All that stuff is there. And then the Leadership Academy, for someone who says, I don't have the support, I will be their surrogate sponsor if they join that academy, because that is 4 modules of exactly how to do the business. The first one is kind of the professionalism. What is network marketing about? What's the difference between an amateur and a professional? And then it goes into the recruiting stuff. And you learn, okay, how do I talk to people? How do I work a candidate list? How do I make compelling invitation? How do I follow up? That's all in the second module. There's a third module all about team building. How do I work with my leaders? How do I work 3 or 4 lines at the same time? How do I build lines long distance? All of the, again, not rah-rah. I don't do the jump up and down. I don't sing and dance. I just give you the how-to. And then the fourth module is really all about the leadership stuff. What to do once you have 10,000 people in your team and you want to have 100,000 people in your team. What are the actions you need to take to grow that and develop that new levels of leadership coming up on your team on a regular, consistent basis. And then there's a 5th module, which isn't, and there's actually, after each course, there's a test you take and you get certified at each level and all of that. But then there's a 5th module, which is just, we call them Randy's Rocket Boosters. And those are just, there's no test, there's no certification, they're just support. When somebody said, well, I live in a small town, this doesn't work for me. I live in a big city, this doesn't work for me. Hey, I just broke a rank and I got no one to talk to because it's 3 a.m. So they click on one of those programs, and then it's just, they might be 30-second thing where I'm just there to reinforce them and inspire them and motivate them back into action. And just, or the one literally could be the last day of the month and they just broke a rank and it's too late to call anyone. And if they press that button, they're going to get me. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to assume if you chose this course, you must have had some exciting thing happen and there's nobody to share it with because it's too late at night. And so I just want you to know, I'm excited for you and stuff like that. So it's really support of people because obviously I'm the biggest champion of this profession there is. I love it and I want people to have success in it. So that's what I created, that Leadership Academy. It's an online platform. They join once, they pay a registration fee to join, And then it's only $17 a month, all you can eat forever. They can go on anytime, night or day, take any course. So there's some like meeting people and making compelling invitations that they should go back and do it. Like every 3-4 months, they should go back and take that course. There's other ones that maybe they're having a problem with the leadership, with working with some of the leaders, that go back and they'll re-audit that course again. So the idea is it's there 24/7. They can always go back and get the training they need. Because again, if you show people how to do this and you give them the skills, it takes away the fear, and then they'll really do the actions.
You've actually worked out something we forgot to mention, which was a special code that you're going to give everyone so they can get access to that at just a huge discount, especially for those that don't have the systems in place where they can learn. And not just that, but the people that want to build a team. You're giving them a system right now that they can duplicate by sending their folks to the same academy, to the same links to get the same training. That's duplicatable. What's that code that, and where do people go to get this training?
And it's so duplicate. If people will do this, if they will get their leaders on this, their team members on this, they will see such a huge increase in activity and enrollments and volume. They'll be on it forever. They will see the difference. So the link is, they go to Gage VT, V like Victor, T like Tom, because it stands for virtual training. So they go to GageVT.com. And then when they register, it'll say it's $77 to register and $17 a month. So 77 activation, 17 a month. But when they do that, they just click register now, and then it'll ask for a coupon code. If they put in doTERRA in the coupon code, they'll save $50 on that activation registration. So instead of $77, it's only $27, and then it's $17 a month is the ongoing to access 24/7. So it's GageVT.com, and then for the coupon code, they just enter in doTERRA to save $50 on the registration.
So we're just about out of time, Randy, and I got to tell you, so I hope people are really listening and taking notes. Usually I tell everyone at the beginning, the way to get the most out of this presentation is to take time, take the notes, write down everything that you hear. Even if you don't think it's of value at that point, you'll go back and you read it and you're like, wow, that was an aha moment. So I hope everyone's done that. And if they haven't done that, obviously you're giving them the tools to go and create duplicatable systems and really get the chance to learn from a master yourself and how to do this business the proper way. What, if any, last thoughts would you leave our attendees with right now on creating duplicatable systems, about motivating a team? What is it that you would like to leave them with so they can take that next step and literally take action, because this is all about action?
The most important thing we ever understand in the business, and it took me 5 years to get this, is it doesn't matter if it works. It only matters if it duplicates. Because if it works, it will only make you a grinder. And you're like the people at the guy at the circus who spins those plates in the top of 5, 6 sticks. He finishes the last one, he's got to run back to the first one, and he's just got to keep spinning them. And that's no existence. I mean, I know people in the business who are very successful. They make $30,000, $40,000 a month, but they're absolute grinders because they haven't put a system in place. And I realize $30,000 or $40,000 a month is a lot of money, and there's a lot of people who'd say, I would be a grinder for $30,000 a month, $40,000 a month. But what I'm telling you is, you don't have to be a grinder. You can still make those kind of monies, and even more than that. I've made millions and millions of dollars in my bonus checks, right? Because I understand system and duplication. And I go back to what I said earlier. I really don't believe people are stupid and ignorant or lazy. I think if you give them a system like Gage VT and you take away their fears, you'll see the activity from your team, and you will lead them to where they want to go, which is building their dreams, creating that true passive residual income. And that's the greatest manifestation of the free enterprise system there is. And we have the opportunity to do that. So let's do it.
Great. Thanks so much, Randy, for coming on and talking with us and training us actually in your way of duplication, which is really the way that we should be looking at this, which is there's just so many opportunities. There's so many people. And this is exciting. This is an exciting business. And I think that's why we all got into this. And the next step is really to take this thing to its ultimate potential. So what I'd like to do right now is challenge everyone that's attending right now, listening to us as we're streaming. Take the next 20 minutes to an hour. And I want you just to sit in silence for maybe 5 minutes and think about everything that you just heard. I want you to get out your pen and paper, maybe even a pad of paper if you've got a lot to write, which I think everyone should at this point. I want you to write down the action items you need to take right now to create a duplicatable system. And then actually set a date next to each of those items to say, these are the dates when I'm going to actually do that, where I'm going to take action, I'm going to make this happen, and hold yourself accountable. Accountability is probably the most important thing as a skill set that we can learn as entrepreneurs. We need to hold ourselves accountable because no one's cracking that whip behind us. We are on ourselves every single day. And people with ambition, like Randy said, are the folks that make the best builders, the best team leaders, and they can really do some amazing things when they challenge themselves in this business. So again, thanks a lot, Randy. We really appreciate it. And just as a reminder to everyone, go to Gage, G-A-G-E, V as in Victor, T like Tom, GageVT.com. And when you enter that coupon code doTERRA, you're going to get that massive discount. But I recommend that everyone right now take action, do the next steps, and start growing your business the way it needs to be. Take care, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next webcast.